The stark metallic clang of the diplomatic hall echoed as the doors slammed shut, sealing Captain Marcus Flint inside. The air was thick with tension, the silence only broken by the low murmur of alien dialects blending into a symphony of unease. Flint's gaze swept across the room, noting the skeptical glares of the Galactic Alliance's members, a motley crew of beings from across the cosmos, their eyes glittering with distrust. "You claim humans can be allies in war?" hissed General Verix, his voice dripping with disdain. His scaly skin bristled, reflecting the dim lighting of the hall like a mosaic of disdain. The reptilian general from Draxos IV was not alone in his skepticism. Murmurs of agreement rustled through the crowd. Before Flint could respond, a sudden burst of static crackled through the communication array, a shrill contrast to the hushed tones of diplomacy. "Urgent alert! Alliance outpost Delta 9 under pirate attack. Immediate assistance requested." The robotic voice was cold, almost indifferent, against the backdrop of rising panic. Flint's heart raced, but his face remained an impassive mask. Stepping forward, his boots thudded on the polished floor, each step resounding with purpose. "Let this mission be the crucible to test our worth," he declared, his voice carrying across the hall. The room fell silent, the earlier cacophony fading into a heavy breath of anticipation. With a swift motion, Flint activated the holographic display at the center of the room. It flickered to life, showing a map of the sector, with Delta 9 blinking in red. "As you see, the outpost is strategic, not just to humans, but to all members of the Alliance," Flint explained, pointing to the flashing beacon on the map. "We accept the challenge. My crew and I will head to Delta 9, watch and learn what humans are capable of." Verix's eyes narrowed, the vertical slits widening as he processed Flint's audacity. "Very well, Captain Flint, but remember, this is no mere exhibition. Lives are at stake." Flint nodded, the weight of the mission settling on his shoulders. "We are well aware, General. We will not fail." As Flint and his team hurried back to their ship, the corridors of the summit station hummed, with the whisper of circulating air, carrying a mix of anticipation and doubt. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was charged, each crew member moving with deliberate speed. Lieutenant Vega Thorne, the ship's pilot, greeted Flint with a determined nod as she prepped the vessel for departure. The control panel buzzed under her fingers, alive with blinking lights and scrolling data. "We're ready to jump to hyperspace on your command, Captain," Vega reported, her voice steady despite the adrenaline that pulsed through her veins. "Engage when ready," Flint responded, his tone even but firm. He turned to watch through the viewport as the stars stretched into lines of light, the ship's engines emitting a low growl of power. The journey was brief, the silence of hyperspace enveloping them like a cloak. When they emerged, the chaos of battle greeted them. Pirate ships swarmed the outpost, their cannons firing wildly, lighting up the void with deadly intent. Flint's eyes narrowed as he assessed the battlefield. "Activate adaptive camouflage," he ordered. The ship responded, its exterior blending seamlessly with the star-speckled blackness of space. On Flint's command, Vega maneuvered them closer, the ship nearly invisible against the cosmic backdrop. Meanwhile, Dr. Nora Voss, the team scientist, adjusted the spatial disruptors. "Ready to create a little chaos," she said, a wry smile playing on her lips as she activated the devices. The space around the pirate ships warped, their sensors scrambled by the sudden distortion in reality. Confusion reigned as their formations broke, giving Flint and his crew the opening they needed. "Fire at will," Flint commanded, his voice resolute. The ship shuddered as it unleashed a barrage of fire. Each explosion upon a pirate ship was a burst of silent fury in the vacuum of space, visible only as a brief flare of destruction. Amidst the fray, Flint stood firm, his crew's actions fluid and precise, a ballet of calculated aggression and technological prowess. Each move was a testament to human ingenuity, their tactics not just effective, but strikingly unconventional. As the battle turned in their favor, Flint couldn't help but think of the faces back at the summit. This was more than just a fight for survival. It was a demonstration of human capability and a testament to their place in the Galactic Alliance. The skirmish ended as quickly as it had begun, with the pirate ships retreating in disarray. Flint allowed himself a brief smile. It was the first genuine expression of the day, reflecting not just relief, but a fierce pride in his crew and their ship. "Report back to the summit," he ordered Vega. "Let them know that the outpost is secure, and make sure General Varix is the first to hear of our success." As the ship set course back to the summit, Flint looked out into the starry expanse, the stars now witnesses to the newfound respect that awaited humanity. This battle was just the beginning, and the universe had just seen what one human could do. As Captain Marcus Flint's ship cruised back to the summit, the cold void outside contrasted starkly with the warm buzz of victory that filled the cabin. Vega Thorne's fingers danced over the controls, guiding them through the sea of stars with a navigator's grace. The engines issued a steady pulse, a deep, resonant thrum that felt more like the heartbeat of a giant creature than a machine. Inside the command deck, the air was electric, each breath tasting slightly metallic, a reminder of the artificial atmosphere that sustained them. Flint watched his crew, their faces lit by the soft glow of consoles, their expressions a mix of relief and anticipation. It wasn't just a battle won, it was a statement made. "Captain, we're approaching the summit's coordinates," Vega announced, her voice cutting through the low murmur of conversation. Flint nodded, his gaze shifting to the viewport where the summit station slowly materialized against the backdrop of a nebula, painting the darkness with swirls of crimson and gold. "Prepare for docking," Flint commanded, his voice firm but tinged with fatigue. The recent skirmish was just the prelude to the more daunting task of diplomacy that awaited them. As they docked, Flint felt the subtle shift under his feet, a silent testament to the precision of human engineering. The doors hissed open, and the delegation was met with a mixture of curiosity and newfound respect. Whispers filled the air, a tapestry of alien languages that fluttered around them like leaves in a gentle wind. General Varix was waiting, his towering figure imposing against the sleek metal of the hall. His eyes, once narrow slits of contempt, now held a glimmer of something that might have been respect, or perhaps surprise at his own misjudgment. "Captain Flint, it seems we underestimated you," Varix conceded, his voice low, almost begrudging. Flint's reply was measured, his tone even. "We aim not just to meet expectations, General, but to redefine them." The assembly convened once more, the atmosphere charged with a palpable tension. Flint and his crew took their places, the eyes of the galaxy upon them. Ambassador Merrick stepped forward, his demeanor calm yet assertive as he addressed the council. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of the Alliance," Merrick began, his voice resonating in the chamber. "Today you witnessed more than the defense of an outpost. You saw the potential of human tenacity and innovation." Merrick's speech wove through the principles of alliance and mutual respect, his words painting a picture of a future where humans stood as equals among stars. Flint listened, his thoughts adrift. He felt the weight of the moment, the slow, inexorable shift in perception as the seeds of respect were sown. After the session, the crew retired to their ship, their spirits high, yet tempered by the knowledge of the long path still ahead. In the mess hall, Vega and Dr. Nora Voss discussed the battle over cups of synthetically brewed coffee, its bitter aroma mingling with the tang of engine oil that seemed to permeate every corner of the ship. "Their scanners couldn't handle our spatial disruptors," Nora mused, her eyes alight with the thrill of successful application of her theories. It was like watching a ghost sow confusion. "And they'll be eager to decipher how we pulled it off," Vega added, her tone light but wary. We need to stay 2 steps ahead. Flint joined them, his presence commanding yet unobtrusive, a silent acknowledgment of their crucial roles. We'll continue to innovate, he assured them, his voice a low rumble of determination. Let's use the time we have to refine our strategies and technologies. The conversation shifted towards the enhancements they could make based on the data gathered from the encounter. Each idea was a spark, igniting discussions that burned with possibilities. Meanwhile, back at the summit, whispers turned into debates. Flint's success had stirred a not-so-subtle unease among some of the older, more established civilizations. They viewed the rising human prominence with a mix of wariness and an unspoken fear of the unknown. General Varix met privately with Flint, the setting stark and unadorned, away from the prying eyes and ears of the summit. "You've proven your point, Captain," Varix stated, his tone stripped of earlier hostility. "But war is unpredictable. Your tactics, while impressive today, will need to evolve." Flint's response was a slight nod, acknowledging the truth in Varix's words. "And evolve they will, General. Humans learn quickly." As Flint returned to his ship, the stars outside no longer seemed just pinpoints of light in a vast, indifferent universe. They were beacons, guiding the way forward, each one a symbol of potential alliances and future challenges. The journey back to Earth would be a time for reflection, for planning, and for preparation. The galaxy had seen what one human could do in battle, but it was just the beginning. Flint knew the real test of humanity's place among the stars was still to come. As Captain Marcus Flint gazed out into the void, the starlight reflected in his eyes, casting an eerie glow across his stoic face. The return to Earth was more than a journey across space. It was a rush against time to forge new defenses and prepare for the unknown. Flint's mind churned with strategies, each more daring than the last, fueled by the necessity of keeping his crew and his world safe. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. The crew, aware of the monumental task ahead, operated with a silent fervor, their movements precise and deliberate. Dr. Nora Voss was huddled over her console, her fingers skating over holographic displays that projected data into the chilly air of the command center. The displays flickered with images of advanced alien tech, now potentially against them in future conflicts. "Captain, I've adjusted our spatial disruptors to counteract the new sensor arrays we encountered. They won't see us coming next time," Nora stated, her voice tinged with both determination and a trace of unease. Flint nodded, appreciating her quick thinking. "Good work, Doctor. Keep pushing the boundaries. Surprise is our best ally." In the mess hall, Vega and other crew members shared a sparse meal, the food's blandness a stark reminder of the ship's utilitarian purpose. The soft clatter of utensils and subdued conversations filled the room, each word weighed with the gravity of their situation. Vega, trying to lighten the mood, joked about their last encounter. "You know, for a moment there, I thought those pirates were going to invite us for tea with that fancy maneuvering of theirs."
Laughter flickered briefly, a small flame in the cool air, then died down as reality set back in. The crew knew that the challenges ahead would test them more than any pirate skirmish. Back at the command center, Flint received an encrypted transmission. The screen before him lit up with the stern features of General Varix, his expression grim. "Flint, we've intercepted intel about a gathering threat. A coalition of species, not happy with the rise of humanity. They're planning a show of force." Flint's jaw tightened. "Understood, General. We'll be ready." As the transmission ended, the weight of command settled heavier on Flint's shoulders. He turned to his crew, his voice resonant in the quiet of the command center. "We have potential hostiles forming. It's not just about defense now, it's about making a statement. We need to be seen as a formidable force." Plans were swiftly laid out. Flint and his team devised a series of mock battles and war games to test their new technologies under simulated extreme conditions. Each simulation was conducted away from prying eyes, deep in the uncharted sectors of space where the stars were sparse and the darkness enveloped them like a shroud. In one such simulation, the ship's AI decoys performed beyond expectations, creating a labyrinth of false signals that would disorient any adversary. Meanwhile, Flint personally oversaw the enhancement of their adaptive camouflage, watching as the ship disappeared against the cosmic canvas, a ghost amidst the stars. The crew's morale was buoyed by their successes, but Flint knew that real battle would be far more chaotic and perilous. He convened a meeting with his senior officers, the walls of the conference room stark and unyielding, echoing the gravity of their discussion. "Listen up," Flint began, his gaze sweeping over his officers. "The simulations are promising, but reality will be harsher. We'll need to adapt quickly and efficiently. Our enemies are diverse. They will come at us with everything they have." Dr. Voss interjected, "The new algorithms I've developed for the disruptors can create not just spatial distortions, but also temporal echoes. It might give us the edge we need in a real skirmish." Flint considered this, the possibilities swirling in his mind like the nebulae outside. "Implement it, but be ready to pull back if anything goes awry. We can't afford unpredictable variables in live combat." As the meeting adjourned, the officers dispersed, each to their respective duties, their footsteps echoing in the metallic corridors. Flint remained behind, staring into the holographic star map that flickered with a myriad of potential threats and alliances. His thoughts were interrupted by Vega, who approached with a slight hesitation. "Sir, the crew's talking. They're ready to follow you into whatever comes next, but they're worried, not just for themselves, but for what a larger conflict could mean for Earth." Flint nodded, his expression softening. "Tell them I know, and I'm doing everything in my power to ensure our home remains safe. This ship, this crew, we're not just defenders, we're pioneers of a new era." As Vega left reassured, Flint turned back to the star map. His reflection in the glass was ghostly, a specter of both the man he was and the leader he needed to be. In the silent void of space, the stars seemed to watch and wait, the darkness between them both a shield and a reminder of the isolation of command. With each passing moment, the mystery of who would strike first lingered in the air, as palpable as the electric hum of the ship around him. Flint was ready to defend, to attack, to negotiate, whatever it took to protect humanity. The universe might still think humans weak, but Flint was determined to prove it wrong, not just with words but with bold, decisive actions that would echo across the cosmos. The veil of silence in the shadowy silence of the cosmos, Captain Marcus Flint's vessel, a mere silhouette against the backdrop of an infinite starry tapestry, maneuvered through space with the grace of a celestial dancer. The usual vibrations that filled the atmosphere of the ship were absent today, replaced by a palpable tension that hung thick like the prelude to a storm. Flint stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the deep black, punctuated only by the piercing bright specks of distant suns. His crew, usually buoyed by recent successes, now mirrored his somber anticipation. They were not just far from Earth's safety, they were at the brink of potentially volatile confrontations. "Captain, all systems are calibrated for stealth mode. We're as invisible as a ghost in this part of space," Vega reported, her voice a soft whisper that seemed almost intrusive in the hushed environment of the bridge. Flint nodded slightly, acknowledging the report. "Maintain course and speed. Keep sensors at maximum sensitivity. If anything moves out there, I want to know before it knows we're here." The silence stretched on, each moment straining as they slid through space. Nora Voss monitored the spatial disruptors, now tweaked not just for defense, but for an intricate ballet of deception and counter-deception. "Spatial echoes are ready to deploy at your command, Captain. If they think the stars can hide their secrets, they'll find ours can blind." Outside, the darkness was a canvas, and their ship the unseen brushstroke. The crew's senses were heightened to the point where even the shift in air circulation felt like a herald of unseen dangers lurking just out of sight. Suddenly, the ship's sensor array chirped, a soft, almost hesitant sound. Flint's head snapped towards the display, where faint blips began to emerge like the first drops of rain signaling an impending deluge. "We've got company," multiple signatures, coming out of the Oort cloud sector. Looks like they're trying to flank us, Flint declared, his voice steady but low, charged with command. Vega responded with swift efficiency, her hands gliding over the controls, readying the ship for a potential engagement, bringing auxiliary systems online. Shall I initiate countermeasures? Not yet, let them close in a little more. I want them to think they have the upper hand, Flint replied, his gaze fixed on the screen, where the blips slowly converged towards their position. In the silence of space, where sound was swallowed by the void, the psychological warfare of anticipation played out. The crew waited, each member taut with readiness, as the enemy drew closer, unaware of the trap they were sailing into. Voss prepared the temporal echoes, a new addition to their arsenal, capable of distorting not just spatial readings but time perceptions as well, disorienting the enemy's sense of progression and movement. Temporal distortions are go on your mark, Captain. Flint watched, waited, and then as the blips neared a critical threshold, he gave the nod, deploy now. The space around them seemed to shimmer momentarily, a visual gasp in the cosmos. To their pursuers, it would appear as though moments were repeating, stalling them in a loop of confusion. Meanwhile, Flint turned to his communications officer, a young ensign named Cora Hale, who had been monitoring the channels with a focus that belied her years. Cora, open a channel to the approaching ships. It's time they hear us. Cora nodded, her fingers dancing across the console to establish a link. Flint's voice, when he spoke, was clear and authoritative, carried across the void by signals bouncing through space. This is Captain Marcus Flint of the Terran Alliance vessel Horizon. You are maneuvering into a restricted engagement zone under Terran protection. Identify yourselves and state your intentions. The response, when it came, crackled through the tension in the bridge, a voice distorted by electronic filters. We are the coalition of the free. We seek parley, not conflict. Stand down your distortions, and let us meet as equals in the open void. Flint exchanged a glance with Vega, a silent conversation passing between them. After a brief pause he responded, we'll stand down our temporal echoes, approach with no more than 3 vessels. Any sign of aggression will be met with equal force. As the communication cut, the tension in the bridge shifted from anticipation to the weight of impending diplomacy. Flint turned to his crew, his voice firm yet reassuring, stay sharp, this could be a new ally, or a new threat. Either way, we'll face it as we always do, prepared. Outside, the vast black of space began to fill slowly with the shapes of ships, like shadows coalescing into form. The Horizon and her crew waited, suspended in the starlit dark, as the coalition ships drew near. Flint knew this moment, this thin line between peace and battle, would define the future of humanity's place among the stars. The silence of the cosmos bore down upon them, a heavy, expectant quiet, filled only by the soft whisper of life support systems, recycling the air they breathed, each molecule a reminder of the fragile line between the void outside and the life within. As the coalition ships drifted closer, their silhouettes stark against the backdrop of a nebula bleeding crimson and violet hues into space, the tension aboard the Horizon was palpable. Captain Marcus Flint stood resolute, his eyes locked on the view screen as the enemy, or perhaps soon-to-be ally, vessels halted at a respectful distance. Cora Hale's voice broke the silence on the bridge. Channel open, Captain. Flint nodded slightly and spoke with a clarity born of many battles, both fought and averted. This is Captain Flint. We are ready to hear your terms. The voice that answered was smooth, tinged with an accent of unknown origins. Captain, I am Sorath of the Tavari. We misunderstood your intentions initially. It seems we are both victims of misjudgments. Flint's gaze did not waver. Misjudgments can be as deadly as any weapon in the cosmos. Why seek parley now? There is much to lose in unnecessary conflict, Sorath replied, his tone suggesting deeper currents of strategy, and much to gain in unity. Your recent actions have spoken of a potential for greatness that the coalition cannot ignore. Behind Flint, Dr. Nora Voss exchanged a brief, knowing glance with Vega. The crew had seen their captain negotiate from positions of strength and weakness alike, but this was different. This was a dance of diplomacy balanced on the knife edge of interstellar politics. Flint's response carried the weight of his ship's metal and the lives within it. We seek no conflict, but we will not shy from it if pushed. What does unity mean to the Tavari and your coalition? A sharing of knowledge, defenses, and resources. An alliance, Captain. Against common threats, Sorath proposed, his image flickering slightly as the transmission wavered. The idea hung in the zero-gravity environment of the bridge, as palpable as the cold that seeped endlessly from the metal walls. Flint turned his back to the view screen, facing his crew, his voice a soft echo in the hushed atmosphere. Thoughts? Vega was the first to break the silence. It's a strong move. We gain immediate allies and open doors we didn't even know existed. Dr. Voss added, their technology could advance ours by decades. The risks are there, but so are the rewards. Flint turned back to the screen, his decision made. We will consider your proposal, Sorath. Let us meet in neutral space face to face to discuss terms. Agreed, Captain Flint. We await your arrival, Sorath responded, his image nodding before fading out. The journey to the designated meeting point was charged with an electric anticipation. Flint spent the hours reviewing everything they knew about the Tavari and their coalition, while his crew prepared for every conceivable scenario, from betrayal to breakthrough. The meeting place was a derelict station, hovering at the edge of an asteroid field, its surfaces scarred by time and forgotten conflicts. It stood as a testament to the ravages of space and the peace that could follow. As the horizon docked, Flint and his selected team suited up and crossed through the airlock, each step echoing off the hollow metal. Sorath and his entourage, a mix of beings from different coalition species, awaited them in the station's central chamber. The room was stark, illuminated by the harsh light of portable lamps that cast long shadows. Dialogue unfolded, each word measured, each sentence laced with the gravity of galaxies. Terms were discussed, strategies laid out, and slowly, an alliance was forged not just in words but in the silent acknowledgments of respect from both sides. As the meeting drew to a close, Flint stood, extending his hand to Sorath. Let this be the dawn of something greater than any of us, he said, his voice resonant in the still air. Sorath clasped Flint's hand, his grip firm, and let the galaxies watch and remember. This was the day we chose unity over conflict. Returning to the horizon, Flint felt a lightness he hadn't experienced in a long time. It wasn't victory. The challenges ahead were too great for such simplicity, but it was a beginning, a promise of future possibilities. As the ship set course back towards Earth, Flint looked out at the stars, now not just points of light in the vast canvas of the universe, but symbols of potential alliances and new beginnings. His crew was behind him, a mixture of relief and excitement in their eyes. Captain, Vega said, her voice breaking through his reverie, it feels like we're part of something bigger now. Flint smiled, his eyes reflecting the starlight. We always were, Vega. It just took the universe a while to notice. The horizon sailed onward, cutting through the cosmic seas, its path illuminated by the light of newfound alliances and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. On Earth and beyond, people would speak of this day, the day when the universe learned that underestimating humans was not just a mistake, it was a revelation of their strength, not of arms or war, but of resolve and unity. And as the stars watched silently, the tale of humanity's rise wove itself into the fabric of cosmic legends, a story of a species once thought weak, until they showed the galaxies their true strength.